Can you tell me the first time you met Marc? Or you
First time I met Marc, that's a really, really hard question. I'm trying to remember. I think it was when he was still working for Perry Ellis.
Oh no, it was before Perry Ellis.
It was?
Yeah, it was before Perry Ellis.
Maybe 15 years ago, 16 years ago. I'm very bad at dates.
Well, I'll tell the story straight. Okay. I remember. It was at HG.
I don't remember like one moment when our first meeting Marc, but I remember like a time in my life, like in the 90s. I guess it was the early 90s. I remember it was around the grunge collection time.
Sophia! That's my friend Sophia.
I think those were the wild years. I think for everyone. I think it was a more kind of, it was like a fun, decadent, young time.
Were you scared for him when he first got the job at Vuitton?
Well, to be honest, I think it was very difficult for Marc because it was a huge, as you can see, corporate entity, and he was used to working in a tiny little business and having a very hands-on situation. And I think at the beginning he was really lost, but he stuck to his point of view, he stuck to his creativity, and I remember going to see collections and none of the clothes were brilliant and we were photographing them all the time, but nothing was available. And I would say to these men in their suits that were running the company, why aren't you making these clothes? You know, our readers want them. And it took them a long time, I think, to really realize what a gem they had with Marc. And now, of course, he walks on water.
Hey, this is a Marc Jacobs suit, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it's from 2 years ago, I think. Yeah.
Every show, there's always something that it reminds you of that you don't know exactly what it is, because I think Marc is pulling all these sort of cultural influences or cultural artifacts, or some shows there'll be like a Tim Robbins influence or John Curran or things that are just alive in the culture and that wind up in the show in various ways, but it's always something completely new. I mean, you don't know what it is, but it kind of rings all these bells of things that you're picking up from the culture around you.
He pumps, he pumps, he pumps, he pumps, he pumps, okay?
I've seen Marc in the good times and the bad times, in and out of business, being fired from a job, being given a huge house from Vuitton, and he maintains his integrity throughout any situation.
I don't think he ever thought of himself as being a collector. It's just something that he wanted to have, he wanted to own, he wanted to be able to look at it all the time.
He talks about it, he shares his collection, he invites people to his house. It's something he's very passionate about, and I think it influences other people because he's let's face it, I mean, Marc Jacobs is a major tastemaker in our society. So I think when he buys an artist, it probably means more on some level than maybe some other collector.
And even if he might not think it has influence in his work, and maybe he does, I don't know, I can tell that in fact it does, yes. Steven Spaz was a very, very dear friend of mine. And one day I was having lunch with Marc at the Carlisle, which is just 2 blocks away from here, where Marc loves the chicken. There's this chicken sandwich which he loves. And I said to Marc, do you think there's any way that maybe you could work together with Steven? And over the table, he looked at me and he said, you know what, I was actually thinking of graffiti, and that was a tremendous success. That was the beginning, and then after that, that's when he started working with Murakami.
It reminds me very much of Andy Warhol. I mean, I can't think of an exact parallel. I don't think Warhol did something like Murakami is doing with Vuitton, but the kind of blurring of the line between fine art and fashion or commercial art. I think Murakami is that kind of an artist. And I think in Vuitton, he found a perfect vehicle for the kind of intervention that his art makes into the more commercial world. So I think it's been a very you know, very balanced relationship. I think they both benefited.
Since I've known him, whenever we're together and he sees women walk by, he inevitably is always looking at what they're wearing. It's incredible.
You look great.
Thank you very much.
Hello. Hello, good day, nice coat.
Yeah, isn't it? I love
Very
this
nice.
little coat.
Nice outfit you have.
And he starts from the top usually and goes to the bottom.
It's nice looking.
He's very generous with other designers and very generous to people in the industry, but he's never looking to the left or to the right. He just is focused on his own point of view, and that's the secret to any great designer. You look at something, you know it's Marc Jacobs. It has nothing to do with anyone else.
I thought he stopped smoking. No? For a second, the last time I checked. I think you gotta have some vices, so.
It must be very, very difficult to keep coming up with different ideas and different inspirations and at the same moment have a deadline. I just think the pressure must be really enormous because the minute he finishes one show, he has to go to another show.
My therapist says, for instance, that all creative people have, you know, ups and downs. It's very hard to operate, you know, creatively on a schedule. You know, some days you just don't feel like it. And, you know, you can't be inspired because you decide you want to be. So, you know, and then there's pitfalls and obstacles that occur every day, you know, for me and for everyone else, I imagine. So it's always a struggle, I think, to create something. But I think when you love doing it, you find your way.